I mean, as we head into the Christmas break and the new year, and I want to talk to you about reform in just a tick, I mean, a lot of people, let's be perfectly honest, have contacted this station over the last few months and sort of almost in shock at what's going on. And they keep saying, it's not going to happen. You're going to get 4.5 more years of this. This is a cynical socialist. This is the reality of what happened. Do you fear for not fear for our country, but the way we look on the world stage, the way our people feel about politicians in general, it seems to me, without exaggerating it, that a lot of what I've always known to be about the United Kingdom is falling about my ears. I use an example today. The man that supplied the images to Hugh Edwards, the paedophile, is a paedophile, and he escapes jail, and yet we send a woman to jail for writing nasty words. I don't understand where we've got to. I don't.
I think the country is in a dire straits. I'm completely with you, and I've often said I think we're facing an existential threat, constitutionally, democratically, culturally, economically. The things that successive governments have done have really threatened the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
And there's no better example of it than taking down our borders. You know, borders came about over hundreds and thousands of years for the protection of the British people. And in the last 25 years, they've been set aside. And we haven't got a government that understands, as generations after generations understood, that you have to defend your borders.
Yes, you do.
It's not a conceptual thing. It's not a legal nicety. It doesn't rest on complying with international conventions. Border control is a physical thing that a country needs to do at its borders. And we're not alone. The United States is suffering it. Hopefully Trump will set a new direction of travel for the US, but the United States can't control its borders at the moment. And Europe has actually willfully taken down its borders with the construction of the Schengen zone. And when you take down your borders, you've given up the nation state. No borders, no country, no nation state. The tribe, the British tribe, as it were, if I can call it that, it's an emotive term, but I use it deliberately. The British tribe is under threat.
Yeah.
And our government is not moving to protect us. It's failing in its fundamental duty to the British people.
I mean, I've always thought what you've just said is absolutely spot on, but I've always thought there will be at some point a reaction. Now, I'm going to read this from Tom Stewart in Morpeth, but don't judge me, Ben Habib. Happy birthday, Ryan. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for keeping an eye on Jezza. He needs it. Can you please beg one of the greatest men to speak on your station to make up with reform? We need this man at the forefront of getting our country back. Tom Stewart in Morpeth. I only read that because, of course, we've been hearing over the last 2 days, Nick Candy, the billionaire donor who's the new treasurer of reform, flew to Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump's place, with Nigel Farage, and they were photographs of the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, and there are rumours that he might be ready to bankroll to the tune of £78 million, $100 million, Reform UK, which many people will say, Ben, would change the face of British politics. I ask you this because we've spoken many times, and I would do nothing but respect you, that for you there were certain issues, that it was a one-person party, it was a business. Do you believe that Reform are starting to make, excuse the pun, the reforms that they need? Second question, do you see any way, however popular, be it whatever it is, of the two-party system being broken or changed in this country? Because I was at something last night and every single person said to me the following: we need a Trump moment in this country. We need somebody who doesn't care about criticism, who is a convicted politician, not convicted of a crime, a conviction politician, who believes and will not listen to the noise and will get it done. I genuinely, I know there's lots of questions. What about you and Reform? Talk to me.
So, I mean, just coming back to the two-party system, I think it is broken.
Yeah.
One of the great strengths of the Conservative Party had been that it had literally millions of members. And through its membership, it was therefore very closely in touch with what the nation was thinking. And Labour, similarly, actually originally and for a long time afterwards, represent the working class. It got its mandate. It may have been a mandate that many people didn't agree with, and it may have been economically damaging at times. But they had a direct route into the working class of this country, and Labour was called Labour because they represented them. Labour's moved away from its position into some kind of liberal globalist party that believes in net zero before the prosperity of the working class. And the Tories have lost touch, I think, with their base because their membership, as we now know, is down from millions in the 1950s to 130,000.
Yep.
And Reform is licking at its heels. And so I think the two-party system is very much threatened, absolutely, and rightly threatened because they haven't been doing the right thing for the country. The Conservatives, if they want to stand a chance of surviving as a political entity, really need to change the way that they're operating. They need to be conservative. They've got to put the country first. They've got to put our sovereignty absolutely fundamentally at the center of their policy making. And that, of course, in the absence of all of that, opens up a massive amount of room for a party like Reform. And the ostensible ideology of Reform is absolutely, I'm at one with, which is at the center, your foundational building block is the sovereign, democratic, prosperous, we hope, unit that is the United Kingdom.
Absolutely.
But I have got issues with Reform structure because it's a private limited company largely owned by Nigel and therefore controlled by him. They will not democratize, in my view. I've been watching very closely what they've been up to. They're telling the public that they'll democratize, but they haven't done it. And in my view, they won't do it. They released their branch rules earlier this week. And the branches that they're setting up around the country had been trumpeted as a democratic means of getting candidates up from grassroots and policies made and sent up to HQ, etc. But actually the rules themselves, now that they've been published, make it very clear that they see the branches as nothing more than campaign, instruments for campaigning at the direction of headquarters. They can't have their own bank accounts.
Can you? I don't mean to cut you short. Haven't got that. Haven't got that much time, buddy. And I love having you on. But very quick, can you see a situation where there is a change and you and Reform could get back together again?
Yeah, for me, the only thing that matters is that Reform has a structure in place which will make sure that it stays true to its ideology and that it won't waver, and that those in charge of it recognize and can be held to account, recognize the movement that we represent and can be held to account by that movement, that there are checks and balances in place. And that's fundamental, in my view, to success. And if they do that, they will, whether or not I'm actually in the hierarchy as academic, they will have my full support, complete, full, undiluted support if they create a structure which is robust enough to form a government.
Listen, I speak for many. I love having you on. I hope you have a good Christmas and New Year. I would love to see whatever happens in the next 4.5 years.